The Netherlands are a secular state. We do, of course, have religious freedom in our constitution. And I'm convinced that religious freedom is a very important principle of the Dutch legal culture.
Is door Van Wieren aangegeven dat Van Wieren voornemens was om de aanvraag niet in behandeling te nemen, omdat de foto niet voldeed aan de wettelijke vereisten.
Religious freedom could be seen as a part of, well, essential human dignity. Every human being should have the freedom to decide about the way he wants to organize his or her own life. But the privileges of the church might be something else.
My dad and mom are Christian, so I raised up as a Christian child. And I think I was 14 years old when I thought, no, that's not a religion for me. Man splits the sea in two parts, so people can walk into the sea, and yeah, it's nonsense. In 2008, I saw the first Pastafarians on the internet. I read about it, and I thought, yeah, this is more a religion for me.
I read an article in a German newspaper called Spiegel about the flying spaghetti monster. At that moment I was touched in my heart by his nuclear appendage and started a small group in Templin. We opened that church in, I think, September 2014. We invited the mayor of the town and a lot of politicians. They didn't come.
I think I'm a saint for some Pastafarians. At least the Russian church made me into a saint. And also, I'm an honorary member of the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster in Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah. And of course in Austria. In Austria, I used to be like religious leader. I used to be Superior Macarone. But then when I went into parliament, I had to step down because you can't do both, being a religious leader and member of parliament. So I decided to be on the state side.
Dit is mijn religie, dat is mijn geloof. Ik geloof dat het Flying Spaghetti Monster de aarde heeft geschapen, het heelal heeft geschapen. Het heeft ons geschapen.
The thing I like most about the Church of FSM is its freedom it gives its followers.
You don't have to pray, you don't have to go to the church, but when you want, you can. When you don't want, yeah, you don't have to.
Welcome, my dear Pastafarians, to our Friday Noodle Mass. Ich glaube an Bobby Henderson, seinen Propheten.
Ich glaube an Bobby Henderson, seinen Propheten.
We see us not as a church, we see us as a worldview community. And in Germany is a law that the worldview community has the same right as a church. Beard from his beer cup. But only in the words, not in the practice. Noodle from his noodly appendage. And we try to do it in the practice. Amen. Wenn du Selbstdenker bist, dir kein Dogma droht, dann wirst du selbst zum Gott, kannst selbst dein Feld gestalten.
A calendar divides the main important stuff from the stuff that you don't need. And for me, it's a symbolic way that teaches me how to live life. You have to hold on to the good stuff and let the bad stuff slip away.
What I like best about Pastafarianism is the fact that it's relatively free of violence.
The other older religions, there you have certain rules that you must hold on to, or else you go to hell, or you go to, all kind of evil things happen to you. The Church of FSM has a kind of guidelines, rather nuts we call them, that give you a moral compass, but they give you the freedom to be your own moral person.
Our belief tells also that you have to accept other religions when some people are believing in another God or in another religion. It's okay.
This is a great example for society. It's so much better than the eternal conflict that some other groups of people have.
When you are a good person in society, then you are a good Pastafarian.
The Holy Gospel is written in the 20th chapter of the Gospel according to St. John, beginning at the first verse.
Our brains, like the brains of all animals, have evolved by genetic natural selection to render the aspects of the world that matter to us visible, perceptible, trackable, usable. We have all sorts of hardware that's genetically wired in that makes it easy for us to cope with those parts of the world that matter most to our species. But we have enhanced that by orders of magnitude with human culture, which also evolves by natural selection to fill our minds with mind tools. They're not inherited through our genes, they're inherited through our culture. Included among all that cultural inheritance is a lot of superstition. When people were scared, puzzled, baffled, surprised by phenomena, they tended to imagine them to be the effects of strange monsters, demons, ogres, leprechauns, imps, fairies. All of these invisible creatures became part of the local lore. Then gradually, people began to realize that some of them were very useful, and they began to domesticate them and turn them into the watchful eye of Big Brother. If you made sacrifices to this one, this would bring in great crops. And besides, if you were the priest, you might be able to share in some of those sacrifices. That is, you could get the food for free that was being offered to the gods. So what we see is a process from just happenstance creation because of fear and surprise and alarm among people. That gave us a population of cultural entities, all imaginary, but made vivid by the retelling and the refurbishing in the imaginations of all the storytellers. And these gradually morphed by an evolutionary process into the gods, like the Greek gods, like the Roman gods, and then into the God. We gradually moved to monotheisms. There have been thousands and thousands of religions that have vanished with only the faintest traces in the history books. They leave almost no fossil traces, but we know they're out there. And the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster is one of the most recent.
Vandaag is het een religieuze feestdag voor de Pastafarians. Dat zijn gelovigen van de kerk van het Vliegend Spaghetti Monster. De Kamer van Koophandel, daar moet je je inschrijven als je een kerkgenootschap hebt. Is dat gelukt?
Last year I thought it's strange that the Church of the FSM is not in the Netherlands. I wanted to try to get it recognized here in the Netherlands. So I went to the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce in the Netherlands also registered the churches. Werd dat met open armen ontvangen? Ja, zegt die persoon bij de Kamer van Koophandel. Wie zegt uiteindelijk dat het niet zo is? Dat het vliegende spaghetti-monster het heelal en de aarde heeft geschapen? Dat dachten ze blijkbaar in Groningen, dus het hoofdkantoor. En dat hebben ze heel sumier gemotiveerd. Ze zeggen eigenlijk alleen van ja, wij zien het niet als religie en daarmee is het klaar. After that I appealed the decision of the Chamber of Commerce to reject our church. And after that appeal we won. In January 2016, Church of the FSM is recognized by the Dutch government.
Yes.
Every God has a special peoples. The Christian God has the Jews, so the Pastafarian God, his peoples are the pirates.
I decided to do a pirate wedding mainly because it shows respect to the Pastafarian faith. Pastafarianism believes that all humans are descended from pirates and share 99.999% of our DNA with them, and it's also just such a fun thing to do. Why wouldn't you do it?
Weihnachten, wie es wirklich war. Das fliegende Spaghetti-Monster klärt auf.
Pastafarian scientists find out that the earthworming also is happened because too less pirates around. You can make a graphic and you see the number of pirates is going down and the earthworming is going on. So it clearly, for every scientific thinking man, we need more pirates to stop the earthworming. That is our holy mission, our holy order.
In Deutschland ist es eigentlich verboten, auf offiziellen Dokumenten eine Kopfbedeckung zu tragen. Er ist hingegangen beim Führerscheinbild, hat gesagt, mein Glaube schreibt mir vor, ein Hütchen zu tragen. Und dann hat man ihm das abgenommen. Und nun ist er auf dem Führerscheinbild mit seiner Kopfbedeckung zu sehen.
Pastafari.
Der Pastafari, Rüdiger Weider bei uns, der sagt die Wahrheit. Herzlichen Dank.
We only accept pirate headgear, so colander for us is blasphemic. In 2011, an Austrian people is starting with a colander, but it was an Austrian, and it was for us a bad idea with a colander because we was in the hot pirates, and especially we Germans know what happened if Germans follow the crazy ideas of Austrian leaders. You understand what I mean?
If you read the Gospel of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, you don't read about pasta strainers or colanders or any type of headgear. The role model for the Pastafarian is the pirate, and pirates don't wear colanders. That's something I came up with. I invented that. Or I'm not even sure if I invented it. I think the Flying Spaghetti Monster touched me with his noodle appendages and kind of inserted the idea in my head. It must have been around 2008 when I decided that I would like to have a new driver's license. I went to the Department of Motor Vehicles and I found a brochure. One of the rules was that you're not supposed to wear a hat or any type of headgear in your license's picture. There was an exemption for that rule that was for specific religious reasons. And I thought, okay, if this is the rule, then I have to come up with a religious reason. I've been working in my office, and in my office kitchen I saw that colander, that pasta strainer. It kind of struck me. It was like that thing perfectly fits on my head, and it also perfectly fits the purpose. They called me and asked me for another picture. I told them I'm wearing headgear for religious reasons that complies with your rules or not. Basically, I just told her what I was doing, and she completely understood what I was doing, and she declared me sane. So I'm officially and legally sane in Austria. And finally, they just issued the driver's license. I did it on purpose, of course. It was a planned thing. I knew it would spark some media attention, maybe, but it kind of exploded.
Nudelsieb auf dem Kopf aufs offizielle Führerscheinfoto. In Österreich geht das. Der Wiener Nico Alm.
His name? Nico Alm, Lionel's Hero of the Week.
Man in Russia who identifies himself as a Pastafarian, and he has just won the right to wear a colander on his head in his driving license photo, Joe.
Madison man has won the fight to wear a spaghetti strainer on his head in his driver's license photo.
A Surrey man is boiling mad that ICBC is denying him a photo driver's license because he wouldn't remove his religious headgear for the picture.
The attorney for the man says his client is, quote, Pastafarian.
Sacármelo, no cambio mi identidad. Sigo siendo yo.
No está loco.
Flying spaghetti monster.
Like you're discriminating against us just because you haven't heard of us?
Pastafarian? That sounds like a joke to me.
I was asked to remove it. I did explain that it was my religious headgear.
His religion, well, it isn't exactly mainstream.
She's making a mockery of the whole thing.
Exactly.
Look at this chaos. Civilization crumbling.
Some people, when they first heard about all this, they were wondering if this is a real thing.
I think that you could ask that question about any religion.
And be like, this is ridiculous.
Obviously, it's stupid.
Yes.
You know what I mean? There's no such thing as a Pastafarian, and it's just a horrible take on Rastafarians, which is a real religion.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think the most important argument is that it is virtually impossible to distinguish so-called real religions from fake religions.
Volgens mij hier. Hallo. Ik kwam een rijbewijs aanvragen. Ja? An identification card has the word identification in it. And in identification is the word identity. This colander is part of my identity. It's my religion.
In Germany, every church can have a sign where is standing, what time and what day are their masses. We also would like.
Offensichtlich hat das Straßenbauamt tatsächlich in einer illegalen Nacht- und Nebelaktion auf Piratenart, wie sie eigentlich uns zusteht, diese Bilder abgenommen.
Wir wollen erreichen, dass wir ganz so selbstverständlich wie andere Weltanschauungs- und Religionsgemeinschaften auch unsere Rechte wahrnehmen können. Und um das zu erreichen, ziehen wir vor Gericht, weil das im Moment halt nicht der Fall ist.
You can say a Pastafarian is not a true religion because it's based on the same grounds as every other religion.
If someone believes something that you don't, it's always crazy. I think believing in a guy who walked on water and a guy who split at the sea is crazy. And they say to me, my religion is crazy, but yeah, what's the difference?
It's in the law. Every religion is the same. You may not discriminate. When you have that exception, you have to make the exception for everyone.
From the summit of age, Brian surveys the nation and finds it wicked. His sermons become bitter tirades against the godless conspiracy of science and his particular target, that pernicious theory, evolution. When the Tennessee state legislature, inspired by Brian, outlaws the teaching of evolution in the public schools, Dayton generally approves. But Dayton's young high school science teacher, John Scopes, says the law can't be right if it forbids him to tell the truth to his students. On a May afternoon in a drugstore bull session, Scopes admits he has taught evolution and volunteers to get himself arrested for doing it. He is quite willing to stand trial and test the anti-evolution law. All attention focuses now on the prospect of an epic debate of science versus religion, city versus country, reason versus faith. Can this trial really be taking place in the 20th century?
We have a lot of people addressing us and saying, well, this is not science. And when I say, well, I think it has scientific basis, they still argue that it's not science. Can you address any of that? Why is intelligent design science then?
Kansas is front and center on a national debate about how children should learn about creation in public schools.
I believe that evolution should be presented for what it truly is, which is a theory that is being presented as a possible option for origins.
But that there are other theories.
There are other theories.
Including intelligent design.
That's correct.
Do you believe in intelligent design?
I do.
Do you believe intelligent design answers questions that we yet don't know in science?
In the absence of adequate evolutionary explanations, it is reasonable and rational to seek other explanations.
Anyone who attempts to present creationism as anything other than a belief is either delusional or willfully ignorant.
Would you then believe that it is appropriate for scientists, when they cannot find a natural answer to observations, to simply rely on a supernatural explanation for that observation?
They should look for the best hypothesis to fit the evidence, which can include a supernatural explanation when you're talking about origins.
One cannot present a legitimate argument and expect a legitimate result when the individual listening has his or her mind already made and is unwilling to accept new evidence.
Gaat het volgens u, meneer Kolen, om een geloofsovertuiging? Of zo'n godsdienst? Of een levensovertuiging?
Ik beschouw het als een godsdienst.
Beschouw het als een godsdienst.
For driving licenses and other photo IDs in the Netherlands, you need a photo with no headwear. Except when you're religious or your worldview makes it necessary for you to wear something on your head. Then it is allowed as long as the face is still visible enough. Wordt dat dus dit gedeelte van het gezicht boven de wenkbrauwen tot aan. This exception for religions and worldviews will be applicable to Pastafarians only if it is judged that they do have a religion or a worldview and that the Pastafarian in question really has religious reasons to cover his head.
Heeft te gelden dat de burgemeester zich op het standpunt stelt dat de kerk van het vliegend spaghetti-monster geen religie of levensovertuiging is en dat dat bij islam en bijvoorbeeld Sikhisme anders is.
In religious studies or amongst theologians, there has never been agreement about a definition of religion. So, if something looks like a religion, people say it is a religion, and people say they are adherents of this religion, then I think it should be recognized as such, and all the expressions of it should be recognized and protected equally, because otherwise you're violating the principle of equal treatment.
Doordat een piraat van een berg afkwam, en die piraat heet Mozi, en die kwam met 8 stenen, of die kwam met 8 voorschriften de berg af, met 8 stenen tabletten, en er waren er 2 kapot gevallen, en er zijn er 8 over.
Een van de verhalen uit de heilige geschriften van deze
religieuze beweging.
Well, obviously, you can never prove that a God or your God exists. That's the challenge for every religion, and that's the problem in this case. Because the Pastafarians can never prove that their spaghetti monster really exists. On the other hand, the mayor of Eindhoven can never disprove its existence. So we have to find another way to decide whether this is a religion.
Het lijkt alsof de rechtbank nu de waarheid van de geloofsinhoud wil gaan toetsen.
Het zit toch in de loose canon? Dedicated to St. John the Blasphemist. Nou, ik had die brief dus wel als relevant ervaren, ook in de context en in de samenhang van het geloof.
The core of religious freedom is that the state shouldn't meddle with religious issues, and that the state should grant its citizens the right to express their own religion. The judge is, of course, not a theologian, so he has to find other criteria to decide whether something is a religion, a worldview, or perhaps just a bunch of nonsense.
Mensen die sprake van een zekere mate van begrijpelijkheid, serieusheid, samenhang en belang. Er moet enig samenhangspad zijn. Enig samenhang tussen een groep mensen en deze niet dezelfde overtuiging hebben qua geloof en deze ook in de praktijk brengen. Er moet sprake zijn van serieusheid en aantoonbare belangrijkheid. Dat is deze beweging van de spaghetti monster niet. Deze beweging vond, zoals gezegd, duidelijk een parodie op de godsdienst.
En dan is er de brief van Bobby Henderson waarmee de hele beweging begon en die in de loose canon staat, waarin het vergiet niet voorkomt, maar wel full pirate regalia.
Nou, als we dan kijken naar het spaghetti monster bed, hebben we een klein deel opgenomen.
Our pasta who art in a colander.
And lead us not into vegetarianism, but deliver us some pizza. For thine is the meatball, the noodle and sauce.
Want van u zijn de gehaktballen, het bier, in een andere versie zijn het de noedels, en de strippers, in een andere versie de saus. Een gebed dat eindigt met ramen, normaal gesproken een Aziatische pasta, in plaats van amen.
So these other religions, they all have elements that are not very credible, not realistic. That's why it's called belief. You have to believe it, not explain it or rationalize it.
Dit is geen begrijpelijke, serieuze, samenhangende, belangrijke godsdienst of levensovertuiging.
They basically say that Pastafarianism is a parody. It's actually just one big, elaborate, practical joke. That's what they argue, and they say that Mattei is a joker, and he's doing this purely for fun, just to see if he can get away with it, have a big laugh, and that's that.
Well, this is, I think, a satirical religion, and if we start to recognize this, what's next? Where does it end? You could, of course, ask the theoretical and principled question, is this a good thing? Should religious people be awarded more rights and freedoms than non-religious people?
If we would be writing a fresh constitution and fresh laws, we would never introduce something like religion or any other philosophy as being privileged or discriminated against. It would be totally clear in our modern society that everybody has to be treated equal, regardless of his confession, religion, whatever.
It's a very special way we fight to get the same rights as the churches has. It never will happen, I'm sure, not in the near future. The only way is not to give special rights for anybody.
People of faith make better leaders. Faith gives us empathy.
God hates that!
It's called the Religious Freedom Act.
The Indiana version gives businesses a license to discriminate, allowing them to refuse services to gay couples for religious reasons.
Most of the measles cases in New York have occurred in Orthodox Jewish communities.
Parents can opt out of mandatory immunizations for religious reasons.
Jesus himself gave us the flu shot.
Didn't call a doctor or seek any kind of medical treatment. They prayed.
The death later ruled a homicide. And now we're learning the couple's religious beliefs are a reason they didn't get medical help.
Sexually abused more than 1,000 children and likely thousands more over 7 decades. Church leaders protected the priests, putting children at risk.
It takes a lot of money to do this.
It's impossible to know exactly how many millions of dollars these ministries take in every year because they are not required to make financial disclosures of donations received. By the way, all of it is tax exempt.
Pakistan's blasphemy laws, which says anyone who's convicted of speaking ill of Islam and Prophet Muhammad faces the death penalty.
Sign of the Christian religion.
Shot in the head by a Taliban gunman simply because she believes girls have the right to go to school.
Fires
as he approaches the upscale pub in Istanbul.
Terror strikes France once again.
Taking credit for the truck attack.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God!
The one thing that I think is really dangerous in many religions is that it gives people a gold-plated excuse to stop thinking. To stop thinking. To say, I don't have to think about that because my religion says this is right, this is wrong, it's as clear as that, it's black and white. I don't have to think about this anymore. It's just a matter of faith. And we honor that. We say, oh, it's a matter of faith. I think we have to stop honoring people for stopping thinking.
We hold with Charles Darwin that man is descended from the monkey. Hence we don't believe that man has come from monkeys. God has created men.
This dispute over the rising idea of Darwinian evolution came into the United States right during the Civil War. In the book of God's creation showed a beneficent God. Well, suddenly they didn't see a beneficent God on the battlefield in Gettysburg, and they didn't see a beneficent God in Darwinian evolution. And so you had people, led by conservative theologians, object immediately that Darwinian evolution was antithetical to their religious beliefs. But they didn't necessarily object to a long Earth, that Earth was very old. By this time, many dinosaur discoveries were made in the United States, so they weren't creationists like we think of today. They would accept evolution, that species evolved from other species, as long as God was guiding the overall process. And that worked out as a bit of a compromise. And so America adopted evolution without much controversy until the 20th century. That time, World War I was the most awful thing that modern people had ever seen. The amount of carnage, the amount of killing, and the destructiveness of the scientific weapons, especially the chemical weapons that were used during that war, were evidence, many thought, of what science was doing to us. That sort of thinking made people skeptical about scientific progress. A movement developed out of this fundamentalist movement, out of this split in Christianity, and it began in the churches, where you saw conservative Christians trying to push those who believed in a purely evolutionary view out of the pulpit, out of the seminaries. And then it expanded to, we also want these atheistical scientific ideas out of the classroom. It was a classic populist movement.
Now, the man being tried for his views was schoolteacher John Scopes, who was arrested for teaching Darwin's theory of evolution.
The Scopes trial was one of the key pivotal events in the evolution of creationism.
Bryan stifled the defense at every turn by shouting over and over again, "The Bible states it, it must be so." As the trial moved outdoors, Darrow astounded everyone by calling Bryan himself to the stand. And after a full day of pounding at him, Darrow had reduced Bryan to a laughingstock in the eyes of his own people. As Darrow summed up before the jury, he said, "We are marching backward to the glorious age of the 16th century, when bigots burned the men who dared to bring any intelligence and culture to the human mind."
William Jennings Bryan only held fast that humans were created directly by God and was willing to accept that the earth was very old. He didn't know how old. 600 million years old, he said on the stand at Dayton. I don't know how old the earth is. Gradually, those ideas were worked out, were removed, and the fundamentalist doctrines became more conservative.
Healing all manner of disease by Jesus! Savior Jesus Christ. And his blood washes whiter than snow. And you need to make a vow of faith of $1,000.
I think it's not too much to say that evolutionism is the chief weapon, the basic weapon in Satan's war against God.
Henry Morris, who was a Southern Baptist, became convinced that if you want to take the Bible literally, you have to take the whole Bible literally. You have to believe these things, because if you can't believe Genesis, why should you be able to believe the Gospels?
Dr. Morris's lecture was based in part on this book. You know, if Satan really is the originator of evolution, that answers a lot of questions, doesn't it?
Well, the Bible certainly tells us that Satan is the father of lies, and he's the one that deceives the whole world.
Science begins with hypotheses and then looks at nature to test them. Creation science, as Henry Morris called his ideas, is the reverse. They know the answers to begin with because, and Henry Morris would be the first to say this, because I know the Bible is literally true. I know the answers. And he looked at nature to prove his ideas.
There's a war on. There's a war in society. It's Christianity versus humanism. But you know, at a foundational level, it really is creation versus evolution. It's one of the most fundamental important issues of today.
Why should our ideas, which are scientific in their view, why should our ideas be excluded from public schools? So the movement to exclude evolution morphed into a movement to have both ideas taught. Lots of local school districts pass laws or ordinances calling for balanced treatment, equal treatment of the two ideas.
Oh yay, oh yay, oh yay.
The Supreme Court stepped in and struck down those laws as unconstitutional because they were promoting a religious idea, creation science.
The theory of evolution is as unchallengeable as we've been claimed when something like 90% of the public is skeptical to one degree or another of the theory. How should educational authorities address this?
Okay, we can't ban the teaching of evolution. We can't mandate the teaching of creation science. We should at least be able to teach intelligent design. It might not be a Christian God, it might not even be God, but some sort of intelligence is behind all this.
Teach what the official voices of science say. That's knowledge students should have, but they should also learn why many people believe that what they are being told is philosophy rather than fact.
The lawyerly arguments of Philip Johnson led to this intelligent design movement, which then played out most famously in Kansas.
For our future, I urge you to discard entirely the non-scientific biased testimony that has been presented in this classroom. You have a responsibility that is much greater than each of you individually. You have a responsibility to the children and the future of the state, a responsibility that you have sadly failed.
Ja, im Jahr 2005 ist es den USA-christlichen Fundamentalisten gelungen, die Schöpfungslehre der Bibel als gleichberechtigte Theorie zu Darwins Evolutionstheorie zu lehren, also im Biologieunterricht, nicht in Religion. Das hat verschiedene Leute auf die Beine gebracht. Die Begründung war dafür, es kann ja nicht schaden, wenn unsere Kinder auch noch eine Theorie mehr lernen. Ein junger Wissenschaftler ist nachts erleuchtet worden. Das fliegende Spaghetti-Monster hat sich ihm offenbart und hat ihm seine Geschichte erzählt. Und er hat am nächsten Tag dann an dieses Schulblatt geschrieben und darum gebeten, dass auch die Geschichte des fliegenden Spaghetti-Monsters mit im Biologieunterricht gelehrt wird. Und dieser Brief ist dann einfach in die Blogszene gekommen, ist weit verbreitet worden.
The open letter to the Kansas School Board. I'm writing to you with much concern after having read of your hearing to decide whether the alternative theory of intelligent design should be taught along with the theory of evolution. I think we can all agree that it is important for students to hear multiple viewpoints so they can choose for themselves the theory that makes the most sense to them. I am concerned, however, that students will only hear one theory of intelligent design. We have evidence that a flying spaghetti monster created the universe. None of us, of course, were around to see it, but we have written accounts of it. We have several lengthy volumes explaining all details of his power. Also, you may be surprised to hear that there are over 10 million of us and growing. We tend to be very secretive, as many people claim our beliefs are not substantiated by observable evidence. What these people don't understand is that he built the world to make us think that the Earth is older than it really is. For example, a scientist may perform a carbon dating process on an artifact. But what our scientist does not realize is that every time he makes a measurement, the flying spaghetti monster is there changing the results with his noodly appendage. Furthermore, it is disrespectful to teach our beliefs without wearing his chosen outfit, which is, of course, full pirate regalia. I cannot stress the importance of this enough, and unfortunately cannot describe in detail why this must be done, as I fear this letter is already becoming too long. The concise explanation is that he becomes angry if we don't. Thank you for taking the time to hear our views and beliefs. I think we can all look forward to a time when these three theories are given equal time in our science classrooms across the country, and eventually the world. 1/3 time for intelligent design, 1/3 time for flying spaghetti monsterism, Pastafarianism, and 1/3 time for logical conjecture based on overwhelming observable evidence. Sincerely yours, Bobby Henderson, concerned citizen. P.S. I have included an artistic drawing of him creating a mountain, trees, and a midget. Remember, we are all his creatures.
We need to recognize that populations change, demographics change. So my advocacy in keeping religion out of government must be seen as an effort to also protect religion. Because who's to say that in 100 years from now, the Muslim faith may be the predominant religion in this country? And how are Christians then going to feel if they see passages from the Quran in schools? They'd be outraged. Would they remember that when they had the power, they were enforcing their views on others? And the best way to protect that balance is to keep special benefits to any religion away from government, so that one's religious freedom is equal to one's freedom from religion.
De vrijheid van godsdienst is er ooit gekomen om gelovigen van kleine, nog zwakkere religies te beschermen tegen de soms gewelddadige bekeringsdrang van grotere, machtige religies. In deze zaak lijkt dit op zijn kop gezet te worden. Zoals de burgemeester aangaf in eerste aanleg, moeten de grote, gevestigde religies blijkbaar beschermd worden tegen deze nieuweling, omdat hij raar, ongeloofwaardig en dus kwetsend is. Is dit werkelijk nog zoals de godsdienstvrijheid bedoeld is? Wanneer elk element in een overtuiging of religie volledig serieus moet zijn, welke gelovige voldoet dan nog aan die eis, behalve de extreme fundamentalist?
So the European Court of Human Rights says religion should be cogent, coherent, important, and serious. That last criterion has been used by the judge and by the mayors to say, well, it's a parody, so it's not serious, so it cannot be a religion.
Moet ik het zodat een dogma van de kerk kunnen zijn? Dat er kritiek is op andere geloven? Of... Ik stel de vraag voorzichtig, want
Ja, inderdaad. Ze zijn kritisch op geloven, voor zover uit naam van andere geloven geld wordt verspild, geweld wordt gepropageerd, andersdenkenden worden gekleineerd.
So their ethics are in the 8 I'd really rather you didn't. They contain an ethic of nonviolence, of tolerance, of being generally nice to each other, taking care of each other.
Accepteren van eigen en andermans tekortkomingen en daar op een vredelievende manier mee omgaan. Dus met humor en satire.
Maar ik zit nog steeds met die satire. Waar zit nou de ernst?
Maar die satire, dat is dus eigenlijk een soort van modern stilistisch middel om ook mensen aan te trekken. Tegenwoordig, ja, saaie preken en dat soort dingen, dat werkt gewoon niet meer.
So this is the serious side of Pastafarianism, which is often overlooked by people that only see a parody. Humor can be used as a very powerful instrument of conveying an important message. And that's what Pastafarianism does.
Zes weken en de uitspraak wordt toegestuurd naar uw gemak. Dank voor uw komst.
We're living in an age where community is evaporating in many regards, and contrary to some of the hype, the internet is not really providing the right sort of community. You need face-to-face local organizations where people recognize you, know something of your problems, and make common cause with you about something. That, I think, is the great virtue of existing religion, is providing a focus for common cause, for joint activity, an organization with an infrastructure that makes it possible to work locally to make things better. Now, can we have that in secular organizations? We can, but we haven't made much progress with that. I don't think it would be wise for secular organizations to adopt the irrationalities of religion in order to maintain their adherence. But I think they should think very hard about what kinds of emotionally binding rituals, traditions, activities would help them. These signs of camaraderie are very important, and I think we should preserve these features of religions.
You have to hold on to the good stuff and let the bad stuff slip away.
waren die Pole dick vereist, das Meer wurde von Piraten bereist. Doch die mussten weichen, der Geist wurde ärmer, das Wasser stieg, denn es war ja nun wärmer. Oh Monster unser, lass dich lobhudeln, zur Rettung bringst du Nudeln. Dischi, Gigli, Macaroni, Gnocchi, Penne, Cannelloni, Ravioli, Tagliatelle, Paternoster, Pappardelle, Alphabetto, Tortellini, Ondule und Quadratini, dicke, lange, große, Hauptsache mit Soße.
I became a Pastafarian 3 years ago when I heard my Lord speak to me. I answered him, Ramen, and I have followed him ever since. As a Pastafarian, I believe that the flying spaghetti monster created the world and all that is in it. I ask that regardless of your own beliefs. You show a commitment to equal rights and to the First Amendment by allowing our church to erect a holiday display on the courthouse lawn as well. That is equal in visibility to the Christian and Jewish installations. I am committed to seeing equality come to the Chester County Courthouse lawn, and I trust that you are too.
Dischi, Gigli, Macaroni, Gnocchi, Penne, Cannelloni, Ravioli, Tagliatelle, Paternoster, Pappardelle, Alphabetto, Tortellini, Ondule und Quadratini, dicke, lange, große, Hauptsache mit Soße.
We're gathered here to do the business of our Kenai Peninsula Borough. We make the rules of behavior and property, levy taxes, and determine how to disperse them wisely. A few of the assembly members seem to feel that they can't do this work without being overseen by a higher authority. So I'm called to invoke the power of the true inebriated creator of the universe, drunken tolerator of all the lesser and more recent gods, and maintainer of gravity here on earth. May the great flying spaghetti monster rouse himself from his stupor and let his noodly appendages ground each assembly member in their seats.
Rigatoni, schibiottini, trenne, zitti, fedellini, bigoli und fettuccine, campanelle, ballerine, ruotine und maletti, Italiener und Spaghetti, heilig sind nun diese Namen, Pasta aus und Ramen.
I look forward to working with you on this. Thank you for your time.
Any questions? Go ahead.
What was the flying spaghetti man?
It's the flying spaghetti monster.
Flying spaghetti monster.
Yes, it is. That is the deity of our religion.